Siding, roofing, restoration services. These are big and expensive topics for HOAs in Minnesota. We're going to explore it with Dan Lillestol and Sean Nelson from MNRC right here on the HOA Leadership Network. Hi everybody, I'm Mark Foster with the HOA Leadership Network, and I'm here with Dan Lillestol. He is owner of MNRC. Also Sean Nelson, who is director of the ARMOR program. We'll get into that in just a moment. Gentlemen, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks, Mark.
Thanks, Mark.
What kind of services does MNRC provide to HOAs in Minnesota?
Yeah, Mark, our primary services are exterior inspection services and restoration services. We focus primarily on multifamily, commercial, and single-family residential properties.
You also have a program called the ARMOR program. Sean, you're director of that. What is ARMOR?
ARMOR program, very simple and easy program, tailor made for HOA boards. Number one, we assess your community. We fly a drone, we take a bunch of pictures, we do a physical inspection also. We then report our findings to you, and we give basically a health report card of the exterior of your building. Number three, we begin to monitor your community. We have weather tracking software. We keep an eye on hail and wind. Anything that happens with your property, we are now out there observing it. And what's impactful about this is we have the before, now after the storm, we have the after. Now, I get two questions on the ARMOR program from everybody who's joined. Number one is, how much does it cost? If you're an HOA board member and you're out there, the ARMOR program is free. The second question that I get is, Sean, how can it be free? It is free because we want to create a trusted partnership with you, and in the event that there is a hailstorm, windstorm, we want to be your contractor of choice to restore that property. So the ARMOR program is about protecting your community and building a relationship with us, getting to know us. We get to know your boards and your community.
So MNRC's been around for a while. Obviously, you've been helping residential homes along with HOA properties. What would you say are some of the most common things, Dan, that you're finding in terms of either restoration or damage at HOAs in Minnesota?
One of the common things we're finding, Mark, is that damage is frequently overlooked or not looked at all. And sometimes HOAs, they're affected by hail and windstorms, and no one gets out to look at those properties. And by the time we get there, the date of loss is too old for them to be able to claim the damage with their insurance company.
Any more on that?
Yeah, and what we run into is miscommunication. If you work with MNRC in the ARMOR program, we really try to communicate directly with the HOA board. And we do that for a few reasons. Number one, your average tenure of a property manager is roughly 2 to 3 years. The average tenure of an HOA board member, I believe, is 6.8 years. And then ultimately, the HOA board members are the one making the decision for their community, their investment, their properties.
Now, certainly you run into challenges in Minnesota. There are myriad challenges, weather-related. What are some of the challenges that you face, especially with HOAs when you come in and help with restoration services?
You know, one of the first challenges that we face is that the HOA boards just don't know what to do. And that's one of our primary focal points of the ARMOR program, is to educate and really respond to what we believe is a major need for HOA communities to have regular and routine exterior inspections.
Now, with an HOA board and a property manager, say in a managed property, what are some of the ways that those two entities can work together more effectively with a company like yours? Obviously, there's going to be communications is going to be key, but what are some of the other ways that boards can work with you more effectively?
Well, I think the first one is have us to your HOA board meeting. Talk to you, get to know your community. These are big decisions that you talked about at the beginning, Mark, large costs. No property manager or board member should feel under the pressure to ask very detailed roofing, siding, windows questions in a meeting in any capacity. We will come. Dan is an industry expert in not only roofing, siding, also the insurance process. Because we all know our HOA community, all of a sudden, hey, this is going to cost $500,000. They're going to come to that meeting with a certain mindset and ask a lot of questions, which is great. we need somebody, an expert, which we can do, to answer those questions, because your property manager and you HOA board members, that's not your specialty. So that's where we can help. And then it's another great way for them to get to know MNRC, so that when we are on property later, they know who we are. Hey, there's Dan and Sean, they were at the meeting.
So what's the best way to get a hold of you?
Email Sean, SEAN, my grandparents are Irish, at mnrcinc.com. We're at all the HOA Leadership Network meetings. We love the education piece of it, and thank you for having us, Mark. This has been, incredible.
Yes, thank you, Dan Lillestol, owner, and Sean Nelson of the ARMOR program from MNRC here in Minnesota. Make sure you sign up to be a member. It's free at the HOA Leadership Network.